And now on the mouse organ, the bells of St. Mary's. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. Michelle Obama gave her big speech at the DNC in which she expressed her great love for the United States. Quite a dramatic contrast from her earlier observations that she was only proud of the United States the one time while she was an adult. Presumably, when she was a kid, she may have naively been proud of the United States once or twice, and that's why she added the adult comment. Now, in good trial lawyers and in good court cases, one would go back to one's deposition and compare it to one's testimony in court. And when it comes to court, if you're up on the stand and you say, "I love America," but your deposition to the police said, "I was only proud of America once in my adult life," then that produces a contradiction. Which one do you believe? It doesn't really matter, because those who love the Obamas love the Obamas. It doesn't matter what they do, where they go, how they act. Nothing matters. They're going to support them no matter what. But for any of those people who are undecided, you need to ask yourself, which is the truer statement? The off-the-cuff remark about only being proud of the United States once in your adult life, or the carefully manufactured speech at the DNC in which she says that she loves her country? The other topic of interest for me is the continued saber rattling in Georgia, South Ossetia and Abkhazia, where Russia has given recognition to the breakaway provinces of Georgia, South Ossetia and Abkhazia, and Georgia, according to Russia, is amassing forces in an effort to try and go into those areas yet again, most notably now Abkhazia. I have no doubt that the criminal fucking administration in Washington is further eroding any attempts at a truce in that area by goading Georgia into doing what it's doing. Russia is amassing a fleet in the Black Sea. And in this they are going to continue to do, despite anything that the Ukraine says, even though they have already said they want Russia out of Black Sea ports by a certain deadline. I don't see Russia actually going through with that. And of course we're sending aid, quote-unquote aid, to Georgia, which in effect is probably military hardware. We can't even do anything for the people who are fucking struggling in this country. And yet we're sending aid to Georgia. But don't think it is only the criminal fucking administration in Washington right now, because Joe Biden, the great and wonderful vice presidential pick for Barack Hussein Obama, says we need to send $1 billion to Georgia. Well, how much fucking aid could $1 billion do in this country for people who are out of work, for people who are losing their homes, for people who have other significant and serious life problems? I think it could do a lot. But by all means, you get embroiled in the conflict too. And that way you'll see that there's no fucking difference between any of these people. The criminal fucking administration that's in Washington now and the one that's going to replace it. All a bunch of fucking criminals crooks and robbers and thieves. Every one of them. And every one of them should be brought up before a trial. It should even be a fake farce trial. And then they should all be shot. Now, it's still my belief that there's maneuverings in the international scene when it comes to Georgia, Abkhazia, South Ossetia, and Russia, along with Iran. Now, it could be that we're making a move to implant more military in Georgia, thereby enabling us to have a virtually huge military presence in the region in order to back up a strike by Israel on Iran, or for us to conduct that as well. But I think that there is also the possibility of false flag terrorism in this country implicating Iran and thus giving us an excuse to go in. And I think that would be along the lines of a biological attack, and that's why the whole anthrax thing was thrust back into the news. I've talked about this before. But the other thing that has come to light recently is the resignation of Mushareff in Pakistan. Now, we already know that Barack Hussein Obama has expressed his desire to go into Pakistan. Although right now, even in the criminal fucking administration that's in Washington right now, there is some dissension between the Pentagon and the CIA as to what should be done with Pakistan. I think Musharraf's downfall was calculated. I don't know exactly who was behind that, but it seems clear that they were looking for a dissolution in that country. And the only thing keeping it together was the strongman Mushareff, who I did not like at all. And I'm glad to see him gone, but at the same time, you have the same thing that happened in Iraq. You take away the strongman leader, and there's no one to pull together all of those disparate forces. So you take away Mushareff in Pakistan, and it dissolves into chaos, and that's where it's going right now. So maybe Pakistan will be the first move. Whether that is by the current criminal fucking administration in Washington or by the new administration, whether it be Manchurian candidate or Barack Hussein Obama, is only a matter of time to tell. And if you think about it in another way, going into Pakistan would enable the United States to, in effect, be on both sides of Iran and thereby be able to practically have them surrounded. Be able to attack them with impunity from both sides of the country. So it does seem more likely that resolving the situation in Pakistan would be a first step to going into Iran. But keep your eye on the Caucasus region in the former USSR, Georgia, Abkhazia, South Ossetia. If there's another attack in that area, and we're drawn into it with our supposed aid ships and the Russian Navy that is operating in that area, we can see something develop which is much more serious, and that could involve nuclear weapons at some point down the road. The rhetoric and the heated exchanges are getting more and more. So World War III is becoming a very distinct possibility, in addition to the never-ending farce war on terror. Thank you.